From Gretzky to Howe to Matthews, the NHL uses the All Star Weekend to showcase the league's talent and provide entertainment during a mid-season break. But how good is it for the NHL and for hockey in general? Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Victoria. I talk all things Toronto sports, hockey and baseball from across the pond in Scotland. And for today's video, we're very fittingly talking about the All Star Weekend in the NHL, which is of course this upcoming weekend. A lot of people love it, a lot of people hate it, and I just thought we could touch on how good it is for the league and what my thoughts are on the whole thing, because I have some thoughts. But before we talk about the 2024 All-Star break, let's go back to where it all started. So inaugurated in 1947, the NHL All Star Game is an exhibition tournament usually held around the midway point of the regular season in January or February. From 1947 to 1968, the All Star break saw the previous season's Stanley Cup champions take on a team of All-Stars from all the other clubs put together. This was with the exception of 1951 and 1952, where players in American-based teams would play against players from Canadian-based teams. In 1969, the format changed to having the Eastern Conference go up against the Western Conference, with the starting line being voted on by fans. The 1998 All-Star Game consisted of a North American team playing the rest of the world, and this lasted up until 2002 before it went back to an Eastern versus Western setup. And then during the 2010 to 11 season, the NHL decided to select teams based on drafts within fantasy sports, with the captain for each team selecting players from a combined pool of fan balloting and also the NHL Hockey Operations Department. And then in 2015, the NHL made more changes, making 4 All-Star teams based on the 4 league divisions competing in a single elimination tournament. And then just there back in November 2023, the NHL combined this 4-team 3-on-3 format with the fantasy draft used previously. And so fast forward to present day, and as I said, the All-Star Game is this weekend. So starting on Thursday, February 1st, there's going to be the All-Star Draft, and the game captains for this year have been announced. So we've got Austin Matthews paired up with Justin Bieber, Connor McDavid paired up with Will Arnott, Nathan McKinnon and Tate McRae, and then both Jack and Quinn Hughes are paired up with Michael Bublé. Now, of course, this is great promotion for the league, bringing in these Canadian celebrities and making them celebrity team captains. It's a good way to draw people into hockey because all of those celebrities have their own fan bases, and it might just get them interested in watching some NHL. There's contention though over who the celebrities should have been. Of course, Justin Bieber was going to be paired up with Austin Matthews. Everybody saw that coming. But I guess you can't please everyone, and this probably sort of sums up the demographic that they're targeting the All-Star break at, I suppose. Michael Bublé is my personal favourite. I'm a big Michael Bublé fan. Michael Bublé just sounds like Christmas to me. Also on Thursday, 1st of February, there will be NHL Alumni Man of the Year, and there will also be a showcase by players from the PWHL, which I do love. I do love the fact that there's women being included in this. I think that's excellent. I think it's one of the best aspects of it to me this year. And then on February 2nd there will be the skills competition, and then on February 3rd there is the actual All-Star Game. Posted a tweet recently about the All-Star Game and just a couple of things I thought about it, and the main things people replied were that nobody watches it, I don't care about the All-Star Game, or it's really aimed at kids, it's aimed at sponsors, like it's kind of pointless. Like there's a lot of people that don't like the All-Star Weekend, there really is. And this can sort of be demonstrated in viewership figures, because of course one of the best ways to judge how good a sporting event is just to see how many people tune into it. And overall viewership figures have not been the best. They're definitely not really going in the trajectory that Gary Bettman would like them to be, especially given that in 2022 the Saturday NHL All Star Game averaged a 0.6 rating and 1.15 million viewers on ABC, marking the smallest audience for the game since 2009. Ratings fell 38% and viewership 33% from the previous All Star Game on NBC 2 years before. However, there was an upside to this. It wasn't that in 2022 nobody wanted to watch it, because the previous night's NHL Skill Challenge, which was on ESPN, saw ratings and viewership up 19% and 30% respectively from the previous edition on NBCSN 2 years prior. And then there was also some other good news for the All-Star Weekend, because last year's 2023 All-Star Game averaged a 1.0 rating and 1.5 million viewers on ABC, which was up 56% in ratings and 31% in viewership from last year, but this was still down 3% and 12% respectively from 3 years ago, the last time the game aired on NBC. And despite the big increase, this year's audience is still the second lowest for the All-Star Game since 2015. So it's definitely lost its charm a little bit. It's lost maybe some of the novelty. I don't think people feel overly excited by it in the majority of the time, especially when it comes to the actual All-Star Game. Now, I must admit, my favourite part about the All-Star Weekend is definitely the skills competition as well. I think it's a great way to show off what NHL players can do in a more isolated capacity, because hockey is a team sport and it's fully reliant on working as a team. Sometimes it's nice to see individually what players can do, and the skill competition gives an opportunity for that, and so it's definitely my favourite part. And this year the skills competition has 6 events, which is fastest skater, hardest shot, passing challenge, one-timers, stick handling and accuracy shooting, all competing for a prize of $1 million. I do think this is like the most fun part of the weekend, in my opinion. It's more exciting than the game, because we watch these guys play on teams every single week, week in, week out throughout the season. And I know that it's different in the fact that it's like the stars of the league and they're all playing like on the same teams or against each other, like it's all mixed up. But realistically, is that all that exciting when it obviously counts for nothing? I mean, I guess there's excitement in just watching those players, and I completely understand why people would want to go. And I considered going to Toronto for the All-Star Weekend, because I will hopefully be flying out there shortly anyway. And I had considered, it's my birthday weekend, I really had thought about flying out to Toronto for the All-Star Weekend. But I then stopped and I thought, this was also before I saw the prices, but I thought, would I rather go out and see a regular season Leafs game or a playoff Leafs game, which I'm not rich enough for that, but a girl can dream? Or even would I rather go and see when the Jays are playing? Yeah, to be honest. The prospect of going to a regular Leafs game for me is more enticing than going to the All-Star Weekend, and I really did consider going out for it. It crossed my mind, but I'm glad I'm not, because I'd rather be going over when the Leafs are just playing normally, because I want to be in amongst Leafs fans at Scotiabank, like just in amongst pure Leafs fans while they play a competitive game of hockey, not watching an exhibition game. So that's why. Don't get me wrong, if I lived closer and had the opportunity to go, yeah, of course I would go. But if I have to choose between competitive hockey or the All-Star Weekend, it's a no-brainer. So now on to talking about the actual All-Star game itself, not the skills competition, the actual game itself. While I can appreciate the sheer talent of the players and everything that goes into the NHL All-Star Game, every year I feel slightly underwhelmed by the hockey that's played during the game. It's not competitive. Players and coaches and their teams don't want their star players getting injured at such a pivotal part of the season, so it means they play with less physicality. There isn't the same drive there to be doing the same as what they would be doing in a regular season game. Sometimes I feel like the talent isn't particularly showcased well because there is no motivation for it to be. Don't get me wrong, these are talented players, but could you imagine the disaster if Austin Matthews, at the midpoint in the season where the Leafs are not fully comfortable, like I'm convinced they're going to make playoffs, but they're not like wholly comfortable. Could you imagine if Austin Matthews got injured playing in an exhibition game in February? That would be a disaster. But it means that you can't get the best out of the players because there's no competitiveness there. And since the whole point of this game is to showcase NHL talent in one place, doesn't that take away the entire point of the competition? On the other hand, is it not about competitive hockey, and instead it's about just entertaining people and just it being a bit of fun, a great sponsorship opportunity, great for people who love players from around the league and want to see everyone in one place? If you see it as that, that's great. That's great. I think that's a great way to perceive it. That's how I'm perceiving it now. But in terms of, you know, really showcasing what the league has, I think you're far more likely to see the talent in a regular or postseason game than you are in the All Star Weekend, because those players are not playing to 100%. I just wonder if there could be a better way. I don't have all the answers, but I'm just wondering if there could be like a better way at showcasing all this talent without removing all of the motivation behind playing good hockey, because there basically is no motivation here to play your best hockey, honestly, apart from pleasing and appealing to a crowd that already knows how good you are. Because if you're forking out the money to go, you already know how good these NHL players are. You already know. You don't need convincing. Then leads me on to my next point, which is, who is the All Star Weekend aimed at? Because realistically, as such a massive event and a whole break that's taken out of the season, it should be aimed at as many people as possible. It should be a weekend which is filled with a variety of things which appeal to a variety of people, so you can bring in as many people as you possibly can, both watching on TV and also turning up at the event. You want a wide demographic, and I understand that why kids and young people would be at the forefront of your priority for that, but I don't think it should be only people that you target at. Especially as I found out that according to NHL research in a 2022 article, nearly 40% of all NHL fans are under 50, and this partially comes from a massive 26% growth in female viewership since 2016. As a female who was a teenager at the time and got into the NHL around 2016, hi, I'm part of that growth. League research also found that 80% of users on its digital channels are Gen Z and millennial. However, the Power Players Board, which was created in 2019 to seek the opinions of fans and social influencers between the ages of 13 to 17, credits this growth in young NHL fans to changes in the NHL's marketing strategy. Social media content and a less professional tone are really credited with bringing younger fans into the sport, and as a social media manager, I can confirm that is the entire purpose of what we do. If you can make these players seem more human, feel like you can build almost a parasocial relationship between the teams and you as a fan, that's what draws people of a younger generation in. As much as the on-ice product is obviously the most important thing, second to that is just how you market it and how you create a connection between fans and the players on the ice, and digital content seems to be the most effective way of doing that. But this does show that it's more digital and online social media content which is bringing in younger fans rather than in-person events such as the All Star Weekend. So it's not like the All Star Weekend is being credited with growing the game among younger fans, because those credits are definitely being given to digital social media content. And maybe the All Star Weekend isn't about growing the game per se, but it should certainly be about entertaining people, and I do think that they need to try and appeal to as wide an audience as possible, because just reading the sort of energy online surrounding the weekend, it seems like a lot of people are convinced that it's really aimed at kids and sponsors and not really a lot else, and I don't think that's the healthiest way. If you're going to take a chunk out of this season and put players on a break at a really pivotal time, you maybe need to make it appeal to as many people as you possibly can. So the good and the bad. It's a break in the season for players. Now this has good and bad connotations to it. It's good because it's good for players to get a break. I know a lot of them go on holiday this week. It must be really nice for them to have some downtime with their families. But equally so, you don't want to break some potential momentum which might have been built up right before the break and completely get rid of it all because they've gone on holiday. It maybe works well going on a break if you're in a bit of a slump and you need a recharge, but on the other hand, if you're like on fire all the way up until the break, sometimes pausing that momentum can be really a bad thing instead. So the players having a break has both good and bad elements to it, in my opinion. Again, more bad is it just all about kids and sponsors? And while I know that obviously it is something that everybody can go to, I'm not trying to say that it's not. And as I said, if I had been over there, I absolutely would have gone if I had the opportunity. I just, reading from how other people feel and how I sometimes feel too, I don't find it the most exciting thing in the world. And I think that might be the reason that viewership numbers are down, because there has to be a reason for that. Or am I just looking too deeply into this and it's just a bit of fun for people to watch, which ultimately is what sports is, and I truly believe that sports are just meant to be fun. I think that this is true. However, chances are, if you're a sports fan, you're actually already entertained by the on-ice product that you see your team produce every single week. Or maybe you just like it for fun. If you love the All Star Weekend, that's great. I love elements of it. There's just parts of it that I'm not quite as keen on, that's all. There's also the thing of, do players even want to go? Because I saw the Seattle player when he got called up to go into the All Star Weekend, and his first thought was the fact that he had a trip booked with his wife and now they were going to have to cancel it. And I felt so bad for him, because he must have been so hyped to be going on this trip, getting this break. You don't get breaks in the NHL season. It's a busy schedule. And then he suddenly realised that he was going to be, rather than sunning up on a beach somewhere, he was going to be in Toronto in February. At least last year it was in sunny Florida, I guess. Whereas this year, I love Toronto with all my heart. I really do. But in February, I mean, it's cold. It's cold. It's still a beautiful place, but it's very cold. And if you were picturing a sun holiday, it's probably a little bit of a disappointment. So should we really be trying to, not force players, but, you know, make players do something that they don't want to do? If we're going to have a break, are we better just giving all the players a break rather than giving the non-stars a break? I don't know. So my final thoughts. I'm so excited for it to be in Toronto. Like, I can't wait for Toronto to be at the centre of the hockey universe, where it belongs. I'm just kidding. But there is, in my opinion, no better place to hold it, because it's such a hockey city. It's synonymous with hockey. It's got the Hall of Fame. It's Toronto, for God's sake. Like, hockey lives in Toronto. So I'm so excited for that part. I am really excited, because, you know, that city has a part of me. That city has a part of this Scottish girl. So of course I'm excited for it to be in Toronto. But would I take this over just the Leafs playing hockey this weekend, like normal competitive hockey? No. Does it have good parts and also some parts which may need improving? But overall, if you see it as a bit of fun, it's great. Yes. So those are my thoughts. Comment down below, what do you think of the All Star Weekend? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you, like me, have bits that you like and don't like? Just let me know your thoughts. I'd be so intrigued to hear. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll be back soon with more hockey chats from across the pond. Bye guys.